So, welcome to Virtuosity Podcast. And today we're going to be talking about singers who shred. And by that we mean singers who have, some instrumental ability, sometimes, recognized and sometimes not recognized. I'm here with my partner, Timo.
Hello.
And before we jump in, I have to just do my usual spiel about saying be sure to check us out on YouTube as well as Spotify. And if you go over to our YouTube channel, you're going to find lots of videos. In particular, I think this episode has a lot of video you can check out, in addition to links to the original recordings. And also be sure to go to our Patreon page where we're going to have a lot of great original and exclusive content over there, including our John Coltrane series, what we're calling an audio biography, where we have multiple episodes where we take a deep dive into John Coltrane, his music, the man, the legend, and get into some analysis of what makes Coltrane one of the great virtuosos of all time. And so let's get into this week's episode. This is kind of a fun one, where we're going to be talking, first of all, when we were looking at, definitions of virtuosos, we came up with the idea of what about great singers who are known for their singing, but also happen to be great instrumentalists. And when we started digging into this, it was kind of a short list.
It was a short list for sure.
Right? And some of these singers who are great instrumentalists, it's hard to get that on record. Glenn Campbell's a good example where, he's a famous guitarist, was the number one session guitarist in Los Angeles, playing on every hit record you could think of, and was also known as a blazing virtuoso. But you can find tons of videos on YouTube of him showing off his stuff. But when it came to the records, they're very, very controlled pop records, and he doesn't really take a lot of hot solos and things.
Well, they're trying to get a hit. They're trying to make money. They're playing ball with the biz, right?
Yeah, and those records are crafted, with a very specific thing in mind. So.
It's also like, I bet you Elton John's a hell of a pianist, and as well as Billy Joel, and you're not going to really find anything where they're really showing off their piano skills. It's always their songs.
Right. Yeah. Elton John is another perfect example. I searched and searched for, where does he take a solo? And there's some intros and some instrumental stuff, but you have to go to the video to find him, doing a nice long piano intro to one of his tunes where you see, the ability.
But you can tell by, like, even when you just look at his hands, as somebody who plays piano myself, that he's obviously can play all kinds of classical stuff, and I bet you he's a hell of a boogie woogie pianist as well. With the two-hand independence and all that thing. But you don't find any videos of him doing it, and it's not on his records.
Yeah, there's things on his records like I thought Benny and the Jets has a really interesting rhythmic thing he's doing with the piano.
Yeah, that's sort of the slow two-feel gospel thing.
Yeah, and kind of syncopated and so you can tell. His rhythm chops are all over those records where
Oh yeah,
he's creating the feel and also the power. He's very dynamic, explosive player.
No, if I was as massive and famous as him, where I could do whatever the hell I want, why wouldn't you showcase that once in a while?
That's a good question, because there's also that thing where there are certain people who have created instrumental albums, and we'll get into that. But why don't we get to our first artist, and we'll continue to talk about some of the issues that surround trying to define a virtuoso within pop or rock.
Sure.
I guess I should say one more thing too for our listeners, that we want your input. Tell us who we missed. I'm sure we've got some blinders on with certain artists for example, we had kind of shaped up our list, and then suddenly I woke up in the middle of the night screaming, uh, Jose Feliciano. Anyway,
Got to have another blind guy on the
how
show.
did we miss Jose Feliciano? We're such idiots. We got to get him on the show.
Does he play like virtuoso guitar runs and stuff, or is he more of a strumming guy? Well, you're gonna show me.
Yeah, we're gonna have a little example. No, he could play. This guy could really play. And so anyway, so we broke our first episode into two actually, and we're going to be having more of these podcasts about singers who shred. Our next one is down the line is going to be called Singers Who Swing. Singers Who Swing.
Oh, cool.
Which is going to be focused on the blues, jazz, and even some world beat type of situations.
So like Ray Charles and that side of things, less the pop side of things and more the jazz side of things. Cool.
Yeah, and that's when we're going to get into Nat King Cole and Ray Charles.
Yeah, right.
And some of the blues guys.
I was wondering why they weren't on the list this time around.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it just became too many. So like it was, we started off kind of struggling to find people, and then suddenly we're like, oh, we've got a bunch.
Right, now we have to have 5 episodes on this one topic.
Well, if it qualifies, it qualifies. So, all right. So we decided we decided we would start off with a very well known, very famous performer, and his name is Prince.
Is that his real name?
Yeah, I think so. From birth, no, actually, his name from birth was the artist formerly known as Prince.
Yeah, right. Okay.
But that had to do with his contract stuff with Warner Brothers. But anyway, Prince isn't necessarily a big discovery for any of us. We've seen the incredible guitar playing, his virtuosity. I think he's well known for recording multiple instruments on his albums, everything from the drums, keyboards, guitar, bass. So
the other guy that fits that category is Sly, although I don't think Sly Stone was as proficient a guitarist, but he was notorious for going back in the studio and re-recording everybody's parts,
fixing everything.
Yeah. So the guys would show up in the afternoon and the next day to go back in the studio, and Sly had redone everybody's parts. Oh my God.
Well, you got to make a hit record. So the tune I chose for Prince is a song called "Wall of Berlin," and part of what we try to do here too is to kind of dig up some gems, some interesting things, a little off the beaten path, because you all know the big hits. We're not going to teach anybody anything about Prince when it comes to his monster successes and things. So. This is a little bit of a lesser known tune, but I think it shows some different sides of his guitar playing, and also the ensemble that he's kind of put together for this band, of some pretty good players. So let's check this out.
All right, cool.